Hello, all you beautiful people. My name is Zach Dowdy, and today we're talking about why the Olympics is actually benefiting from skateboarding, and skateboarding is not really benefiting from the Olympics. But before we jump into today's video, let me just say I am so excited. I finally got a new lens. My lens that you're seeing right now on this camera, no more smudge mark. In the last like 30 or 40 videos maybe that I've made, I've had to crack the lens. And it kind of looks like it's a really dirty lens, and I'm just like making you guys watch dirty lens footage, and that is not the case. It was a crack, but I just couldn't afford getting a new lens. So today I finally did it. Thanks to all of you beautiful subscribers and YouTube giving me a little bit of extra cash flow. I went and spent the money that I made on this channel on a new lens. So I'm super hyped, and we're gonna jump into why the Olympics need skateboarding more than skateboarding needs the Olympics. And we're at a ditch spot that I'm gonna try to get a video clip on, try to get a trick on for my video park in the works. Now I want to make a couple of things clear before we dive into the specifics of this video, is that I'm not against the Olympics in any way, shape, or form. I think the Olympics could help in a way, like give more resources, more accessibility to skateboarding in places that maybe don't have that accessibility. So I'm not against the Olympics, but let me just explain quickly that the Olympics viewership has been in a decline for a really long time. Essentially, they're now competing with, streaming services like Netflix, YouTube, things like that. And the Olympics just aren't getting the attention, the guarantee that they do guarantee their commercials and their sponsorships and their providers. So essentially the point that I'm getting to is that the Olympics are in a position to where they need to do better. They need to increase viewership. They need to do something to find some sort of edgy way to bring people back in to giving a shit about the Olympics. That's what we're gonna kind of dive into, as well as skating this ditch spot. Try to get a clip for my video part while we talk about some things, kind of warm up. Super rad ditch that is neglected pretty often. The spot is all in the shade. Here we go, got some lacquer right there. Nice tranny in this ditch. It's crusty, but it's got some nice transition. It's kind of hard to see because of all the intense shadows, but basically this ditch has some nice transition at the bottom. It's kind of funky, but then there's a lip that you can install, and then there's these holes over here that you can possibly slide or grind over. So it's a pretty organic and unique ditch that isn't skated very often. Hopefully I can get a clip here for the video part. So yeah, I'm gonna get warmed up, try a couple tricks, get the legs going, then we'll dive a little more into the details and why I feel a certain way about the Olympics and skateboarding. Again, I'm not against it, but I think the way that it's being presented right now is very untasteful. As always, I'll leave all the links down below to everything that I'm talking about. A lot of this is my opinion and subjective matter, but as far as the data goes, that is not my opinion. That is proven data. Something from Forbes.com, an article that I was looking at when I was thinking about making this video, I thought was pretty important to include here. Basically goes to write NBC, which paid nearly $1 billion for the broadcast rights to the game, is making the best of the cards that it has been dealt when it comes to selling Olympic ads. Clearly they're struggling to sell ad spots. Television commercials are priced based on network estimates of their audience. In the case of the Olympics, NBC is providing these guarantees based on both television and digital platforms, a metric it has dubbed total audience delivery. But even by that metric, NBC's numbers are down. According to Sports Media Watch, which essentially collects all this data, through Friday, the Olympics had averaged a combined 22.2 million views in prime time, a 6% drop since 2014, so it's dropped. The flagship NBC network is averaging 19.9 million, the smallest since 1992. So now let's talk a little more about the actual Olympics event and why the Olympics need skateboarding more than skateboarding needs the Olympics. Skateboarding in the Olympics basically has two segmented divisions, disciplines, whatever you want to call it. Basically there's street and there is park. And they recently released the designs for the event. I'll put a little screenshot up here so you can see some of these layouts, and as well, like I said, I'll leave all the links down below so you can check out this infrastructure, the skate park basically that they're skating in. But what's funny is about it, it's divided by park and street, but honestly it all looks like skate park to me. It should be skate park in transition. The fact that they're calling this street skating is a little bit of an insult to skateboarders in my opinion. I think it's park skateboarding, it's transition versus park. Again, this is just my opinion, how I look off this based off the design that they're providing the skaters and the environment that they're putting skaters in and saying it's street. Tony Hawk actually did an interview with Men's Journal a couple years back, and I think he talked about this topic in a very professional way. And some of the things that I thought he brought up that were pretty crucial, he said, there are more participants in skateboarding than most sports. So I feel the Olympics need our credibility and they need our excitement to level their summer games. And according to Hawk, no sport is better positioned to help bring in younger viewers than skateboarding. In the beginning, snowboarding felt more chastised than embraced. Eventually became the highlight of the Winter Games. I feel like skateboarding is on that trajectory. That's a really nice blanket way to express skateboarding in the Olympics as a whole. What I'm referring to is more the campaign that the Olympics are developing right now, and specific the commercials that they're playing during the recent Do Tour live event where they're trying to qualify people for the Olympics. It was very, very dissatisfying. The people behind USA Skateboarding in the Olympics, I'm not against Joshua Fedberg. He's like, he did 4-in-1 magazine. He is an OG in skateboarding media, and I don't want to take anything away from him. This isn't an attack on the individuals so much that are behind USA Skateboarding, because there definitely needs to be people that represent skateboarding here and there at that association. However, this isn't an attack on anyone, but more so the campaign as a whole. Hyped. I came here, I got the trick that I wanted to get here. Been wanting to film this trick for a while. I'm not gonna put it in here, I'm gonna put it in my video part that's going up July 29th this year. Whew, man, so excited. Let me know down below what you think it was. It was a tail block combination. That's the only hint that I'm gonna give you. Now I want to make it clear what my concern is. We do have skateboarders on the inside of USA Skateboarding involved with the Olympics. People like Josh, set example, and I think that's great. But the part of the problem that I see is there's opportunists that are taking advantage of the situation. One contextual example, and I won't spend too much time on this, but I do want to give a quick example of what I mean is, there was this webinar recently, it's like the USA Skateboarding Training Certificate. Basically, you have to go through this organization to get the certificate to be an official skateboard trainer, to basically get certified to train people for the Olympics. And the point that I'm getting at is basically you pay for a certificate from this organization. I'll leave the link down below if you really want to look into this. It's kind of like disheartening and sad for me, but basically you pay to get a certificate, and because you pay for that certificate, you can now go teach skateboarding and be certified for USA Skateboarding training. Essentially, that's what it comes down to. And to get the certificate, it's basically just paperwork. There's not much you really have to do. I went through the process. Basically, you fill out some things saying you're not like, this horrible person who can deal with kids, essentially, and then you get the certificate. So the point that I'm getting at is it's more gatekeeping, it's more of a way to control something, and a lot of these people aren't even skateboarders that were on the webinar telling people and how and what they need to do to train other skateboarders, yet they're not skaters. They're basically just collecting cash flow really easily by giving people a certificate. There's no real process, and I think that kind of stuff is what I'm concerned about. And I digest with just saying that with the Olympics, I'm super excited, but I do think there's going to be opportunities that take advantage of skateboarders, like said example. So I do feel like I want to kind of wrap this up and summarize this up with the recent USA Skateboarding commercial that was playing during the Do Tour event, the live event over the weekend, last weekend. And I can't seem to find the commercial anywhere. It might be because they're testing it just to see what kind of like ratings they get with this commercial because it's not public, it's only on the live event, which is kind of weird. And the point that I want to get to is two different things that we need to identify with USA Skateboarding and the campaign that essentially they're making around the Olympics. The first one is that it is subjective. Skateboarding is subjective. It is an art form. It's based off individual merit and this and that. And I just find that so just like this hypocrisy and irony in that is because they're talking about judging. They're going and they're promoting a skate contest, and it comes from a very defensive place. And I know why they're doing that. They're doing that to justify a skateboard contest and skateboarding being in the Olympics, and they're just going on and on and on about how it's unique and it's subjective, but yet they're judging skateboarding. So that's the first thing. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like you're saying it's unique, it's all about individual merit and style, and it's subjective, but yet you're promoting a contest. So to me, it's just like a really manipulative marketing way to like try to curate towards skaters while really they're not doing anything about it. In my opinion, it'd be more efficient and more problem solving if they said, hey, yeah, we understand skateboarding is about individualism, not individualism, that's not the right word, but about, you know, subjective opinions and style and stuff, and like how they are going to address that. To me, that would be much more meaningful and I'd feel more authentic about it. The way that they're approaching it doesn't seem authentic. They're just building this big campaign around like it's about individual, but yet they're judging a contest. So yeah, I wish they would just address the reality of the situation. Say like, yeah, we understand skateboarding is hard to judge. Here's how we're gonna do it. They don't do that. They're not transparent, and I think that's what's missing. The second part that I got really bothered by, or this isn't a political statement at all by any means, but it's basically they try to act like they're jumping on the skateboarding as an all-inclusive bandwagon, like we don't judge cultures and we're the exception from social norm, and I think that's complete bullshit. Don't get me wrong, like skateboarding is more inclusive in some ways, others not so much. So the point being is like you saw all these amazing Japanese girls over the weekend at this event, and none of them are on Thrasher, right? So like that's a very clear like black and white, like skateboarding is working on being inclusive, but we're not an exception to people in society. And the point that I'm getting that it leaves no room for vulnerable growth and ownership and accountability of being like, yeah, like maybe we do need to focus more on highlighting girls, and maybe girls do need to get paid just as much in contests as guys do. Like all that kind of stuff is just sort of suppressed in these commercials because they're just saying that skateboarding is better and like we don't have to worry about this stuff, where in all reality it is a concern. So like not talking about it and addressing it and sweeping it under the rug is another form of suppression. So I could go on and on and on about this, but I don't want you guys to think this is a political rant. It's not. It's just humanitarian. I don't know, like we're just talking about normal stuff. This isn't left or right. This is just like people deserve equal respect and I don't know, like unity, I guess. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this little constructive dialogue conversation. Sparked this idea up yesterday when I saw these commercials, and it's like I have to make something about this. So leave your comments down below. I always want to know what your thoughts are on said topic, and subscribe if you're not already. Make sure you smash that like button. See you in the next one. Mash.